What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it's going to be really just a quick update on this car. There's been several things I've done to it that I didn't film, and then there's other things that I did film, but it was more test fitting and I didn't finish the install. So I just want to give you a little update on that and kind of circle back to some of the stuff. Probably the biggest thing I've done recently is I installed the flares on the back side. Ended up being pretty good for the most part. To be transparent, I got this hardware here and I think it looks really tacky. I'm gonna probably go with some blacked out hardware instead. I did have intentions of filming a video of me installing the flares. I ended up not doing that, and the process of like making the holes for it and then actually cutting out the chassis went relatively smooth. Where I ran into problems was welding the quarter panel back together. It was a really frustrating experience trying to weld this thin sheet metal. I got so angry that I just scrapped the video because like I always want to be honest with what I'm doing on the car and like how things just don't always go like correct or like my way. But sometimes when I get like really angry, I know it just leads to a really negative situation, and I was like, I don't want to put that out there. So what I ended up doing instead is I just used an adhesive to glue the quarter panel back together. I don't think that's gonna last forever. And actually where I got the idea from is I was reading a blog post that Mike Reed, the guy who has the Apex Attack MR2. My plan is I'm gonna keep practicing my welding and then revisit this. One of the cool things about cutting up the car though is that I was finally able to lower it to a place where I wanted it. The car previously sat super high, and I just don't think it was necessarily the best thing for performance. But now with the the back end being cut up, I was able to lower the car, put the suspension in a lot more like a more preferable position, so that the arms and stuff aren't at these funny angles. And I'm very hopeful that it's going to help performance. Here's a quick look at the other side, and again, I'm pretty stoked on this. It really helps, in my opinion, complete the look of this car. Another thing that I did not film is that I swapped out top hats. I've been running the Wilhelm top hats for a while, and I initially had this version, which is a standard version. Again, this was a while back. He ran a clearance sale to get rid of his old stock. I ended up picking up a set of his extreme top hats for a discount. They moved the coil over more inward toward the midline of the car, which is cool because it helps with the roll center. But in addition to that, it gives me a little bit more clearance to run a bigger wheel. One of my concerns with the extreme top hats is that it would produce excessive camber. In the back, that wasn't an issue at all. I ended up swapping out the top crash bolt for one of the smallest ones you can buy from Toyota, and it put me at around like 2.5 degrees of camber, which I think is going to be completely fine for my setup. It's a good starting point at least. And then in the front, I swapped out both of them, and I think that left me with around like 3 degrees of camber. I think that's going to be pretty good. In previous videos, I test fitted these harnesses right here from G-Sport, and I also test fitted the roll bar that's in the back of the car there. Since then, I've gotten both of them fully installed. Harnesses look really good. I'm very happy with them, and the fact that they're FIA certified is awesome. For the final fitment on the roll bar, I am very pleased with it as well, just because there is such little modification needed to make this work. The only thing I wasn't able to do was put this bolt in, and that's because there is this little structure here where the stock X brace connects to, so I ended up just cutting it. I fully acknowledge this looks ugly. Most people aren't going to see that, so I'm just going to call it good enough. I do got to give a shout out to my girlfriend because she actually helped me paint this, and this came out pretty amazing if you ask me. We ended up using a chassis paint that had this like satin finish, and it's really perfect for us. Pretty durable, didn't get scraped up as we installed it or anything like that. I'm in the middle of cleaning up the rest of the interior. It's just little things like this. So as long as I've had the car, the AFR gauge has always just been zip tied to the vent, and honestly that's super ghetto. And again, it's been like that since I bought the car, so at this point it's totally on me. Now that I have this shop and I have like the area to work on it, I really want to make this car nice. So anyways, I'll eventually end up getting some type of pods probably here. I don't have an exact plan for that yet. I'll be finding a better way to mount this. Since day one on this car, it was actually just drilled right into here. I'm going to be cleaning up a lot of the wiring up as well, so things like the stereo are just going to end up going. I actually had plans to make a video on how you can make like a delete plate, and then Scantron's Garage actually made a really good video, so I was like, man, I don't think I can add anything. So I think what I'm going to do instead is, I saw online there's a company that sells a built-in delete plate for the radio. So my plan is I'm probably going to end up purchasing that, and I'll make a video to see if it's worth it or not. Still, it's going to contribute to the overall theme of just, making things nice and simple. So I'll get rid of this because this is a race car now, so it doesn't need a radio. I did have plans to swap out to a quick release place, but I decided to say screw it and kick that can down the road just because there's other places I want to spend my money right now. When this car eventually gets a full cage, I'll revisit that, but in the meantime, I'll just leave it since that's at least 2 years out. If we come over to the front of the car, this is going to end up getting some more attention this coming winter. First thing is just this vent. It's obviously not the most functional yet. I swapped the brackets 180 degrees, which allowed the radiator to sit more upright, but it's still not going to be efficient enough. I either need it to stand completely up and down, or I need to modify it so it's slanted forward like that. Another thing that's been on the to-do list is actually putting a splitter on the front of the car. That really hasn't happened just because of money. I have limited funds, and I've really been focusing on the safety aspect of it because I realized just how sketchy the car was. I mean, the seat belts that were in it, they were already starting to fray and things of that nature. And then you mix that with the fact that it had, you know, the fixed bucket seat. I kind of just realized, you know, this is gonna go like more race car. I should really start just having the appropriate safety stuff in there. My plan with the splitter is just to use some plywood for the splitter itself, and then in terms of mounting it, just buy the stuff from Professional Awesome. Everyone I've talked to uses their stuff, and it's pretty much top notch, so it's just the way to go. As of right now, I really have two priorities with the car. First one is I really want to drive the thing. I've done so much work to it, and honestly, my passion is in driving the cars, so I'm really hoping to do an event with it by the end of this season. There was 2 events I planned on going to at Dallasport. Unfortunately, both of them got canceled. My hope is I could potentially do a event at Packwood this year, and there's a few of them coming up in the next month, so I'm hoping I can make one of them. And that would be awesome because that's like a really big venue. The speeds are higher and whatnot, so I think this car would be really at home. The other thing is I'm gonna start the process of painting this car. It's gonna be little by little, just prepping the body panels and everything. You know, really just trying to straighten them out, getting the like little dings and whatnot out of it. So we'll ignore the mismatched panels for a second, but like the paint on this car really isn't the cleanest. I mean, if you come up here to this door, you can see where previously someone had repainted it, and you can see how it's all peeling and everything like that. It's pretty much on a lot of these body panels. My plan is to actually paint the car myself, and here's essentially my goal. This car has been, I'd say, like a 20-footer in the time that I've owned it, and so if I can paint it and at least maintain it as a 20-footer, I'm gonna be totally happy. More than anything, painting this car, I want it as a way to like help develop my skills, just because the white MR2 is gonna get painted, and I really want to be the one that paints it as well. And then my brother's R32 Skyline. This chassis is pretty rough since it was previously a drift car, as you can tell from some of its battle scars, and I want to be the one to paint this car as well. I feel like this is going to be the perfect car to start learning how to paint on because I feel like I really can't make it worse. That's the update that I got for this car. I know it looks the same, but honestly, there's been a lot of progress, a lot of development going into it. I'm beyond stoked on the progress of the car, and I'm really excited to see where it goes over the coming years because I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. If you got any questions on anything, leave them down in the comment section below. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video.